morning, BTT members. I'm glad you made it. Check Film Fantastic. I just approved one of your comments actually on the community page. I'm still very sick, as you can hear. But I do have a J.J. Abrams video about to go up after this stream, about halfway through editing it. I think it turned out pretty good. Actually, I'm very proud of it, and I say a lot of negative stuff, but also a couple of positive things. Things that no one else dare say. All right, because they would like an interview maybe someday with J.J. Abrams. All right, so anyway, we have 3 very good stories to discuss today. Thank you for joining me. Of course, we have one more stream to go this week, and then, of course, we have another one on Sunday. So we're going to do the 3 stories of the day, and then, of course, the 10 minutes where afterwards at the end where you may ask me anything that you would like. I saw from Shield 91 some questions about the Star Wars development, but you could certainly ask me. I didn't think that was worth covering it, but you can certainly ask me any questions you would like in the last 10 minutes, and we could certainly cover discuss anything you would like. All right, so it's a very slow news time right now. As I said, I think everyone's getting ready for the 4th of July. Hey Juan, glad you're a new viewer. I think everyone's getting ready for the 4th of July, saving their big stories for Comic-Con, except, of course, Warner Brothers, who isn't going to be going to Comic-Con and presenting this year. So I think that probably means they could have stories any day. I'm also a little upset about some of the... where is everybody seeing this Men in Black behind-the-scenes drama story? I haven't seen it in any of the major trades. So I'd be curious if you guys could tell me where it is so I could take a look at it. But anyway, I saw some ridiculous clickbait where they were like, "Oh, Marvel's gonna reveal their upcoming phase 4 plans at D23," and I was like, "Oh, did they announce that? I didn't see that." So I clicked on it, clickbait, and they were like, they just had the blurb from a couple of days, like a week or so ago, where they said, "We're gonna discuss our upcoming movies from all of our divisions," and it's like, are you kidding me? It was so ridiculous. Oh, the Hollywood Reporter has it? Let me see. Let me look it up. But there's going to be a lot of clickbait coming up, so just get prepared for it. Because, there's like no news. Is it this "when spectacle isn't enough" story? Is that what it is? What's the headline? I don't see any headline like that. All right. Okay, so I'll try and take a look at that, but oh, here, Daniel sent me the link. I'll make it available so everybody can see. Oh, rewrites, infringements, and no urgency. All right, I'll take a look at this story. But, I think the movie turned out fine. I enjoyed it. Got a B. I think the real issue is that Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson can't open a movie. I think there's a lot of misdirecting, where people are like, oh, it wasn't the actors, it was the production. And you're like, we're going to talk about that a little bit with the comedies section today. I mean, I see a lot of, agents and managers and producers trying to save their jobs, with ridiculous misdirects. All right. Let's get on to today's stuff. But first, please let me know where you're streaming from. I'm not feeling any better at all, as you can see. Waiting for you guys to catch up to me. James, you say the issue is that it isn't Disney, and I can see where you're coming from, but I actually think that Disney just is very good at understanding why people want to go to the movies these days. All right, Linda is from Chicago. Zachary is from Orlando, where it's been raining all week. I feel your pain. It's raining constantly here, which is not helping me get better. Rachel's from Tulsa Town. Hamza is from Manchester, UK. Jalen is in Nashville eating a delicious bowl of cereal. Oh, that sounds lovely. Alien Hitch is also in a rainy area, but this is the Black Forest, which sounds very picturesque. Thank you, Liam. James is in Queensland, Australia. It's 6 a.m. Thanks for getting up so early for this. Adrian is in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Caroline is in Michigan. Jose is in Salem, Oregon. I don't know why they thought that was a bad word. Let's see here. Aziz is in Saudi Arabia, where it's very hot. Film for Life is from Darmstadt, Germany. Oh, that's lovely. Noah says, Alabama, help me get out of here. I'm sure it's nice there too. Let's see here. That was pretty funny, Noah. All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Have fun at the movies, Daniel. Nameless Desires is from Mexico. Let's see here. I don't know why there's so much rain in New York, TJ. It's ridiculous. Sean says, shout out to all the Irish BTT members. Oh, you guys are great. Latvia won. That's awesome. You're in Latvia. Zeester's watching from his dad's office. Cole Hamilton said, someone said that Norman Osborn isn't going to be in Far From Home. I just said Oscorp would be making an appearance. I've heard varying degrees of whether or not Norman Osborn is going to be in Far From Home, but I think he's definitely going to be the next big bad. There's too much chatter about it. I think it's probably David Morrissey, as you've heard, and as I've reported. Okay, so let's get to Zakaria is in Bulgaria. All right, let's get to today's 3 stories, and then you can ask me anything that you would like. All right. Story number 1. Bam. Michael Fassbender continuing to get work. Inexplicably, considering not only Dark Phoenix, but of course, Assassin's Creed, which he produced, and he's producing this as well. But he's got another gig, and I dare say this actually, if anything's going to work for Michael Fassbender, it might be this. All right, so Michael Fassbender just signed a deal with Lionsgate, which of course is right now hot off of John Wick 3. And I guess they're like, whoa, solo dudes, having action franchises, it's working out for us. And just like Hollywood always says, is there a way we could duplicate this? And it seems that they have found a way with a new series called Malko, which is a series of novels from Europe, actually, and they're going to be adapted by a screenwriter who worked on American Hustle. And that sounds like a pretty good match with Michael Fassbender. But wait till you hear this. So this guy, Malko, is an Austrian nobleman who, this is an old series, so he actually finds himself in a Nazi work camp, and he gets put with all the spies that are being held there. So while he works with them, they teach him the trade. So he learns from the best, and it seems that he is indeed a Jewish hero. And, of course, that's what the way Magneto was played in the movies. But they didn't really make they made kind of a deal about it, but it wasn't huge. And also, of course, today's environment is very different. So I think it would be wonderful if they could get this off the ground. So after World War II, he gets out of the Nazi concentration camp, and he goes back to his family manor, which they've reclaimed from the Nazis, but apparently now it's all run down. And he lives out of his old family manor as a spy for hire. That sounds very Michael Fassbender. I think it sounds quite good, actually. So it's like a James Bond, but with no allegiance to a particular country. So I kind of like that. I wonder if they'll keep it as a period piece. I think perhaps. And I wonder, they could never have a crossover then with John Wick, though, unfortunately. But I think it sounds, pretty good. I think he is well cast. But as Kenny Velasquez said, he says, I'm such a sucker for Michael Fassbender, but don't forget his other bomb, Grace the Snowman. Yes. Oh, and Zeester met him and said he was very nice when he came to Kuwait. Yeah, he seems lovely. I've interviewed him. He's a very nice guy. He's had some personal problems, but he got married to Alicia Vikander, as I saw some of you pointing out. And you never know. Hollywood's a town where you can always turn things around as long as you're a name, and Michael Fassbender is definitely a name. So I think this sounds pretty good, but I think hopefully they can round out the rest of the cast, so it doesn't all rest on Michael Fassbender's shoulders. But if they can keep this to a pretty darn good budget, this sounds pretty good. I mean, all of you are saying it'll probably flop. It probably will, I have to say, considering Michael Fassbender's track record. But I like him. I think this is a good fit for him. And if I were Lionsgate, considering how well John Wick has worked out for the company, I'd probably greenlight it if they could keep the budget down, right? All right, so I think that's a good first story. And he's the first to make it out alive from the X-Men debacle. So good for him. All right, so that's the first story of the day. Now, the second animation dude says he needs a cable or streaming show. Yeah, I think that's good. This could be a very good cable or streaming show, quite frankly, but they're going to try and make it some movies. All right, so Glalie, I'm glad you made it today. I saw a couple of you came in late. That's wonderful. Welcome to everybody joining today. All right, so the next story is that Why the Last Man, after recently losing its showrunners, is apparently still alive. Disney feels this is a good project, and so they have it's a priority for them to get it on FX in 2020. And so Disney's pushing it forward, and today they got a new showrunner to take over, Eliza Clark, who's previously worked on the shows Animal Kingdom, The Killing, and Extant. I don't think that's a particularly great resume in my opinion, but I think it's really interesting that Disney wants to push this forward. If you've never read Why the Last Man, you should read it. It's a fabulous, fabulous comic. Welcome, Roxanne. It's for mature audiences, so please keep that in mind. It's ran about 60 issues. It's excellent, really good stuff. It made Brian K. Vaughan, as a comic book writer, famous. He, of course, has gone on to do a lot of wonderful work since then, including Saga. He's tried to do some television himself, and it hasn't turned out so great. It seems Brian K. Vaughan is really just a comic book writer, and that's wonderful. He's done very well for himself. But Barry Keoghan, yes, he is still the star. I feel, with all due respect, Sean, I'm glad you like that Ireland is representing today, but I don't think that Barry Keoghan is well cast here. He was in Chernobyl. He had a small role, but Barry Keoghan, he's playing the lead. All right, Why the Last Man? The last man left on Earth. And I got to tell you, Barry Keoghan he doesn't have that exciting quality, I think, that's going to drive what is, in many ways, a romantic storyline. I think he's more of a character actor, and maybe he'll surprise me, right? But I have not seen anything, and I've seen some of Barry Keoghan's work. I have not seen anything from him that makes me feel he could anchor this show. I actually would have gone... and it's maybe now that he's available, if I were working at Disney, I'd be like, now that we're just starting up again, maybe we could replace Barry. Sorry, Barry. And I would actually get Andy Bean, who just was the star of Swamp Thing and that show just imploded. But I think that that guy had chemistry radiating off of him in Swamp Thing. So I would have cast him probably. I would see if he was available. I think he'd make a better Yorick. That's the lead character. But I don't know. Maybe his audition was fabulous. Maybe this is just Barry Keoghan, he has depths that haven't been mined yet, but I just do not see it, quite frankly. In Chernobyl, he was the soldier who was on the team that went to round up the dogs. He was the new recruit. So... even there, I don't think he made a particularly strong impression. I didn't see Killing of a Sacred Deer, but I saw the trailer for it. I'm not saying he's not a good actor. I'm just saying he's not a leading man, particularly in something that, again, is supposed to be very romantic. He wasn't Dunkirk. Yes, he's that guy where you're like, oh, yeah, that guy. I think Ty Sheridan seems too young to me. There's a lot of sex in Why the Last Man. It's a lot of sex. All right. So good luck, Barry Keoghan. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Now, the third story of the day, speaking of the Hollywood Reporter, they ran a story that's doing very well on their site, at least it was this morning, about how is the comedy dead at the multiplex? Is comedy now relegated to streaming and television, right? I don't think that's the case, but it's again like we were talking about on Movie Math yesterday. It's not sequelitis. It's not comic book movies. It's just that these other movies aren't very good. But yet, that can't be a headline that the Hollywood Reporter runs, especially, again, you have to realize that about a lot of the entertainment press. They want to be able to have relationships with these companies. Like, for instance, a while back when I was, pitching a piece to a company when I had a relationship with them, I said I wanted to do something on the ups and downs of Colin Farrell's career. And they said I couldn't do it because it would hurt Colin Farrell's feelings. And I was like, Colin Farrell knows his career's had ups and downs. What do you want? It's not a secret to him. And I said, it's going to end on a positive note. He's currently on an up, right? And they were like, no, we just don't want to do it. We don't want to say anything negative about Colin Farrell. So I wasn't able to do the piece. So that's just kind of give you an idea. I've seen some people argue online that, the trades, their perspective is because they're the trades, but in fact, that's actually a liability to them because they don't want these people to turn down giving them information or interviews. So just keep that in mind when you're reading trade coverage. So anyway, that's right. Game night, check Film Fantastic. That's a good point. Game night failed, even though it was fantastic and incredibly funny. But I think that it's not just is your movie funny, but also is it seem like something that is worth going to a movie theater for, right? Like for instance, one comedy that's coming up is the Ryan Reynolds one where it's like the Truman Show, but he's in a video game. That's very high concept. That makes you feel, oh, I should go to the movies to see that. These are small movies that don't need to be seen on a big screen. And I have to say, well, it seems some of you liked, the movie lover loved Late Night. I thought Late Night had some wonderful observations about women working in entertainment in particular, but I thought it wasn't a very funny movie. And I certainly didn't think it was, not only did I not think it was worth seeing on a big screen, but I would also like to point out that it's very niche in its appeal, very much to women, only women. And I think they also brought up Long Shot, and I think Seth Rogen's become just a little bit too much of a caricature of himself. And also, Long Shot was surprisingly inappropriate, something you certainly, not a lot of people, not everyone could go to. So I think that's the issue. James is pointing out Crazy Rich Asians, Bridesmaids. I saw a lot of you pointing out Girls Trip, Bad Moms, Platinum Diva, pointing out both those movies. You just need something that seems like or something that captures everybody's attention, so everyone's talking about it. That's like something why Bridesmaids went. Everyone was like, oh yeah, I gotta go. So that's how I feel. I feel that's really the situation. And it's not that comedies are dead. It's just that, you have to be a little more savvy when it comes to the movies that you're making. And you have to understand that it's a big effort and it's a lot of money to go to the movies. So people are only going to do that for something they feel should be seen on the big screen or that they can't wait to see because everyone's talking about it. And that's the real issue. For instance, somebody mentioned Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell actually has recently said, and it was mentioned in this article, that he's having a hard time getting movies greenlit. But look at, his Sherlock, Holmes and Watson movie. That was just a total dud. I would be nervous to invest in Will Ferrell right now myself. So I think that, he wore out his welcome, and that's on Will Ferrell, not on the state of comedies right now. Because, they said that, of course, studios would much rather invest in a movie that could make 700 or 800 million because it's a live action fairy tale or a blockbuster or something like that. But comedies have a very small investment. So if you can get a small investment for a big rate of return, no movie company is going to be against that. Disney, of course, doesn't make small movies, but other people do. And so that's what's going on. It's interesting. Patrick O'Donnell says Mindy Kaling needs help with her movie career. She just signed a big deal with Warner Brothers for their streaming service, so to create content for them. And she's very smart to have signed that deal before Late Night went wide, and it showed that she doesn't have any audience. So it's interesting. And certainly they're not going to write that in the article because both Warner Brothers and Mindy Kaling would get very upset. All right, so those are the 3 stories of the day. Hold on. Where'd my mouse go? There it is. Bam. All right. It's 4:32. So you may ask me anything that you would like until 4:42. Well, we're just on schedule from yesterday. All right. You have 10 minutes. I'm waiting for you guys to catch up to me. Here, I'll tell you something off the record. You want some, I heard a rumor, and this is off the record, that Keanu Reeves might be in Hobbs and Shaw. I heard that he was in a cut that they took him out of for the current Hobbs and Shaw, but that going forward he potentially will be in that franchise. We'll see if that is something they actually do. All right. Brody Rule says, will Shazam 2 actually film next year? I'm not sure. You'll see my J.J. Abrams video. There might be a lot of changes at Warner Brothers. Oh yeah, the Max Landis news. I don't want to touch stories like that. I don't think there's any point. If Max Landis gets another gig, then we'll talk about it. That's such an interesting question, Geek Legion of Doom. I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke and I don't drink. Sophia, I don't think they should have introduced Photon in Endgame, Monica Rambeau. I think they're going to save that for another Captain Marvel movie. I think that's too complex to introduce in Endgame. They had so much to wrap up. Breezy, it might be the Long Halloween. It's sounding like it is, isn't it? It could. There are rumors of Robin. It could be Dark Victory, but Long Halloween comes first. I think there's a strong chance it's Long Halloween, or at least it's based on that. It might be an original story. Kenny, I don't eat cereal because I gave up milk. Remember? He is only Keanu, Joseph. Do I vape? I don't vape. Gustavo says, what's opening higher, Toy Story 4 or Spider-Man? Man, there aren't tickets sold for either of those movies. I gotta tell you, it's ridiculous. I think Spider-Man will open bigger. Thoughts on the MTV Movie Awards? Called most of them. I think it's ridiculous that they don't air it live. They film it on the weekend and then air it on Monday. No one's gonna tune in for that. It's a failed model. Well, that's very sweet of you, Natalia. Thank you. Patrick says, if there's no Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, what will happen to those characters? They could show up in somebody else's movie. You know, like the Hulk doesn't get his own films because of an unfortunate situation with Universal having the right to distribute any solo movies. But it's not like he's not showing up. He was in Thor Ragnarok. So I actually think that would be a better use of both of them, quite frankly. I haven't finished Jessica Jones because I was just so sick. And also there's so little interest in the franchise. It really de-incentivizes me to finish it. I'll try and get to it, though. Child's Play, I'm going to try and review it on Friday afternoon. I can't go to the press screening. I was going to see it Thursday night, but now I have the Annabelle Comes Home screening on Thursday night. So I'm going to have to run out and see Chucky first thing. Chucky for breakfast, first thing on Friday, and then I'll come back and review it. Let's see here. I would not cast Brad Pitt for Harvey Dent. You know, Robert Pattinson brings down the age considerably of all of his co-stars, so you can't have Brad Pitt. I don't know if the Wasp will ever get to lead A-Team. I'm thinking no, unfortunately. I want her to lead the Avengers, but I don't know if that's going to happen either. Glalie Master, what was my best subject in school? I did very well in history. I did well in English. I was like a history English person. I did very poorly in math. I was pretty good until I was actually quite good with algebra and geometry. But when I got into calculus, that was the end. And I'm horrible at languages, as you know. Yes, I will make a top 10 movies of so far. Edward, I'm planning to actually make it tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will be back on track. Enough of the sickness. I will will myself to be better. Yeah, no, that's going to be quite the back-to-back with Chucky and Annabelle. The Annabelle embargo lifts Monday, so they must feel pretty good about that movie. Joseph, yeah, Captain Marvel versus Minerva winning Best Fight was just so stupid. Oh, Jesse Plemons for Harvey Dent? He'd be a good Gordon. Jesse Plemons for anything. Let's see here. When are we getting the Cats trailer? I haven't heard anything about it. I'm not going to cast The Long Halloween because there's so many characters to cast, and they're going to have, like, this isn't like in a year that this movie's coming out. Like, they're going to announce these casting decisions, from what I've heard, like, very soon. So I shall be covering them as they break. The Movie Lover says, Grace, why do you think critics are being so hard on movies this year? Movies like Aladdin, Men in Black, and Yesterday are significantly lower than they should be. I've been thinking about this, and I think Rotten Tomatoes has a real problem with only having fresh or rotten. There are a lot of cases where I'd like to put, it's not a fresh tomato, but you could eat it, all right? So I think that the question is where does a critic stand on what's fresh and what's rotten? To me, I have a very hard, like, I would, so the question is that tomato that's still edible, would you classify that as fresh or rotten? I would classify it as fresh. But I think there are a lot of critics who feel that if it's not in pristine condition, that qualifies as a rotten tomato. And so I think that's actually a big problem for the site. And until they create a middle ground for reviewers, you're going to continue having a problem. Carlos Munoz, Brie Larson versus Jessica Chastain. I'm on the Brie Larson train right now, I got to tell you. I think, I really admire success, and I think Brie Larson is full of success right now. So good for her. So I support Brie Larson. Not Jessica Chastain. Okay. Fresh, ripe, and rotten. I don't know, ripe could either mean fresh or like smells really bad. So I don't know about ripe. But yeah, we need a middle ground. Florence Pugh just joined Black Widow. She can't do that. I am on Rotten Tomatoes. Is Catwoman Latina, Charlie Rose? She could be. I really think, you have to find the right actress. Hi, Heather. We only have 2 minutes left, but I'm so glad that you made it. Get a question in. I'll try and look for it. Oh, Imre, Marvel Comics is teasing, obviously, some Spider-Man event. It has nothing to do with the movies, and I think that they're kind of jerks for the way they've teased it. Also, as I said, there's so little news right now that people are just desperate for it. So they've blown up the Spider-Man 4, 3, 2, 1 tease as something too big. Dolly, I like canned tomato. It's not a fresh tomato, it's a canned tomato, but it's like a McDonald's tomato. There are a lot of movies I would classify as a McDonald's tomato. Other people like canned as well. Dolly, you have a real hit there. Favorite milkshake flavor? Vanilla, for sure. Speaking of McDonald's, no one makes a better vanilla milkshake than McDonald's. I don't like the long title for Birds of Prey unless the movie leans into it. If it's very Tarantino-y, then that'll be great. Canned tomato is a real hit. I'm impressed. Favorite fast food? McDonald's. I also like Taco Bell, though. Aubrey Plaza for Catwoman is not bad. I would actually have a lot of respect for that. Vanderson Valley, you're right. Time is up. Heather, did you ask a question? I don't see a question from Heather. No, Heather, I feel so bad. You only got the last 2 minutes. I'll give you another 2 minutes, Heather. Strawberry is clearly the best. What? I do like strawberry ice cream, though. But I don't very much, I don't really eat too much dairy, as I told you. Ariel, I heard rumblings about a Lion King thing on like June 26th. That's actually in my notes. Yeah, June 26th. Lion King trailer, that's what I heard. So let's see. Heather. All right, I'm sorry, Heather. I'm sorry I didn't get to answer a question, but I'm so glad that you were able to make it. Maybe tomorrow, thank you everybody for joining today. I'm going to get on that J.J. Abrams video. It should go up in like an hour or so. Thank you everybody for this weekly, 4 times a week appointment. I have a really good time, and I'll be on again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Thank you everybody for being a member. All right, and by the way, I think that I'm going to do the Q&A on the main channel where only you guys can ask questions. I think I'm going to do it like on July 2nd or something, like the last stream of that week before the holiday weekend, to make it like a fun thing. Zendaya's new red hair looks amazing, by the way, Platinum Diva. She looks amazing. Stunning! All right, I don't see any last minute questions from Heather. All right, sorry if I put you on the spot there, Heather. I just wanted to give you the chance to get a question in if you had one. All right, everybody, bye! Have a great afternoon.